What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 4. And this is going to be game number 2 between paiN Gaming and Void Boys. Currently, the score stands 1-0 in favor of the Void Boys after, quite honestly, embarrassing paiN Gaming with just such an aggressive pushing comp, but not suicidally aggressive either. It was pretty focused and had a couple of contingency plans. paiN Gaming, they need to switch it up. And Grandis, what do you think they have to do so?
I think they just have to go with things that are a little bit more reliable. The fissures, the paralyzing casks were really annoying for paiN Gaming to deal with. They had a very melee heavy lineup, a very low ranged lineup, and then they didn't get BKBs on their cores in time. It just didn't look very pretty for them. I think they need to go with things that are less risky than a pure damage gyrocopter. They're going to start out at with the Tidehunter and Earthshaker, which is fairly melee heavy, but I think they can get away with this from here on out. However, I think they should avoid those low range heroes and just make sure that all of their lanes are going to be solid with or without support.
I think the really weakest part of paiN Gaming's game last time was the fact that all of their lanes lost, even though they had kills taken in those lanes. Like, they had very low amounts of CS compared to Void Boys, and that's just because of the power differential of those lanes. With a Shaker Tidehunter opening, it doesn't look like that's going to be drastically changed, although it is possible with the rest of their picks that their cores are just going to be a lot stronger. Two melee heroes to open up, and this time Void Boys are going to pick the Skywrath Mage first, going in a completely different direction, as this hero was, I believe, 4th banned last game. So we're going to be seeing this hero now, and I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of setup down the line, but maybe a Faceless Void is in the works for Void Boys because Void Boys.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think it could work out well for them, but instead they'll go for the Razor. Worked well in game number 1. If it's not broken, I suppose don't fix it. They'll go ahead and ban out the Viper as well. Right now, either team could go in a multitude of directions. These heroes, they don't lend themselves very heavily towards any style of play in particular. With the Razor Skywrath Mage, you could go fairly early. You could go towards the mid game and just focus down on some really heavy team fight, or you could take it late. Right now, I'd say that the team fight advantage is towards Tidehunter and Earthshaker on paiN Gaming, and Void Boys are a little bit more focused on the laning stage, but that could change based on the next couple of heroes. I don't think we really know very much about what either team's plans are in this draft.
Yeah, and we saw how good the quote-unquote team fight advantage was for paiN Gaming last time. Like, they had a call down, they had an epicenter, they had a ravage, and it didn't work. Like, they landed. Like, the ravages were all in all pretty good. Like, it hit a 5-man and then I think a 3-man at one point, and a couple of worse ones, but still the ultimates were just not enough because of Void Boy's inherent survivability. And paiN Gaming, they're going to be remembering that. They're going to take out a Jakiro. They don't want Void Boys to get the same exact draft as last game, and I don't think they have to worry about that too much, but still, I think it's more important that paiN Gaming pick up ranged heroes to pick up stronger cores that could function well in their lanes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Enchantress, the next band coming out from Void Boys. That's fairly peculiar. Maybe Void Boys are looking for a Chen for themselves, offering a little bit more pushing power. Chen's a hero that's completely fallen off the face of the earth. Void is going to be banned out from the Void Boys, so we're not going to see that synergy, and I definitely think that that's a warranted ban. With Skywrath Mage and Razor already on the pitch, leaving Void till the second stage is probably a little bit of a mistake.
And, well, with a name like Void Boys, you would expect their Faceless Void play to be, 110%, landing 5-man chronos all day long. You have to be wary of teams who name their team name after a hero, because that's usually bad business. But either way, paiN Gaming, they're going to third pick a Venomancer. That's a pretty good start at getting stronger lanes. I'm assuming it's going to be a core Veno. Otherwise, you could probably pick him up a little bit later if it's just any random support. But this might be paiN Gaming looking to do the exact same thing that Void Boys did to them last game, just push them pretty aggressively, and it's possible now that Void Boys have slammed a very late game hero in the Spectre.
Yeah, right now, Void Boys, their lanes are okay. With the Spectre Skywrath Mage +1, that definitely can do well up against a Tidehunter, and Razor should win his lane mid. But still, it's going to give paiN Gaming a little bit of an opening to go very aggressive with this Venomancer, Shaker, and Tidehunter. I'm not sure what they're going to pick on top of this. The Jakiro might have looked pretty good for them if they not banned it out. But with the Venomancer, they can angle themselves more towards a pushing style lineup.
And even if not, it's at the bottom line, lots of AoE magic damage. And when you're dealing with Spectre, any sort of pressure you could put on here is going to be good pressure. And wow, Speaking of lots of AoE magic damage, we have a Necrophos on the field. Was banned last game. I think actually Void Boys were the one banning it. I don't know if that's exactly correct, but was fifth banned. But it is going to be picked up right now. As far as the burst for paiN, it's not that large, so Necrophos is going to have to do lots of the heavy lifting just by himself.
Yeah. I don't know. Right now, Necrophos, although his ultimate isn't going to be synergizing that well with the burst coming out from paiN, I think that they'll be able to allow the team fights to go long enough just with the sustain coming out from the Necrophos, and the burst damage coming out from Void Boys isn't that great either unless Skyrath Mage gets a full ultimate on top of you. And if Necrophos ever considers buying a BKB, a lot of the damage coming out from this Void Boys lineup is going to be more or less negated, as Spectre, despite right-clicking pretty hard, is very reliant on the pure damage coming out from her passives as well as from potentially Radiance and Diffusal. So if Necrophos has that item, the Heartstopper Aura and the Death Pulse spam is going to get a lot of traction inside the team fights, and it'll be very useful for them. And maybe they won't need that extra bit of burst, and one can always hope for a Dagon Necrophos, I suppose. Nature's Prophet, the next pickup for Void Boys, is going to offer them a little bit more late game as well as push for themselves. They're lacking very heavily in the lockdown department, and their team fight control is pretty much limited just to the silence on Scarth Mage and a potential Orchid on the Nature's Prophet, but that is very slim. They're probably looking at Sand King for themselves, but even if they get that hero, still they're very stun light, and paiN Gaming might be able to abuse this.
Yeah, so far they don't have anyone who really excels when there are few stuns on the field. I guess Necrophos is guaranteed to get his spells off if there are really no stuns, but I think this is actually a good time to switch away from the core Venomancer and pick up someone who can abuse the fact that Void Boys have so few stuns, i.e. 0 stuns. Pick up someone with a lot of mobility and who could run circles around Void Boys, and paiN Gaming should be okay with that. I mean, Venomancer support, it's not as common nowadays, but it's still perfectly reasonable. Like, Venomous Gale at level 1 is legit, and it is a severe amount of slow, especially when you have the likes of Necrophos just wailing on you the entire time you are slowed. paiN Gaming, they have a lot of magic damage right now, and Void Boys, I think the Razor is going to have to, or someone on Void Boys' team is going to have to look towards a pipe at some point, just because this magic damage is very intense. I think because it's so intense, Void Boys might be willing to pick up a Rubik as their last.
Yeah, that could be an option for them. There's a lot of good spells to steal as well. It's going to be Wraith King last for paiN Gaming. Still not telling us exactly how these lanes are going to break down. It might just be a core Wraith King or core Venomancer like we were talking about earlier, or it could be that core Wraith King. Picking up that extra bit of farm. I'm not sure if I'm entirely on board on with the Wraith King pick. I don't think he can abuse the mobility like something like an Ember Spirit or maybe a Weaver could have. I would have liked to see those heroes quite a bit more, but it's still going to be a solid stun as well as a nice ultimate to add to their repertoire of paiN Gaming. And I don't know, paiN. I think their biggest problem is going to be pushing up high ground because they can't really comfortably take this late up against a Razor, Spectre, and Nature's Prophet, even with a lack of lockdown coming out from Void Boys. paiN Gaming, unless they get a completely stacked Necrophos and Wraith King, I can't see them taking this late.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the big problems with their lineup. I think the second biggest lineup, or first, depending on which side of the coin you look at, is the fact that they have run themselves into the same exact corner that we saw last game. Their lanes are not that strong. Like this Wraith King last, he's okay, and if paiN Gaming are super aggressive with this supposed tri-lane of Wraith King, Venomancer, Earthshaker, it might not be that lane, obviously, but right now, paiN Gaming, I think they're just going to get Outlast hit again. The Razor matchup is probably going to be perfectly safe from Void Boys. If they pick up another defensive support, i.e. that Rubik I mentioned before, then that lane should be doing fine as well. I fear that paiN Gaming, I mean, late game is for sure a problem, but I don't even think they're going to get there just because Void Boys just have so much more strength in their lanes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The timing when paiN Gaming are going to start taking fights is when they get those Blink Daggers again. It's a very similar style of lineup to what we saw in game number 1, although not cookie cutter the same. I think it's going to run into the same issues that we saw. Although, maybe they have chances of taking some better early fights. The Venomancer Wraith King Earthshaker lane has a lot of lockdown and potentially could get some kills, but I'm not sure if it's going to guaranteed enough farm for any one of those heroes, depending on who's going to be getting the last hits in that lane. I expect an aggressive tri-lane coming out from paiN Gaming, which may or may not be spotted out by Spectre, and it is going to be their Rubik you're talking about earlier for Void Boys. Again, I think Void Boys come away with the draft, and if their laning stage mechanics are going to be as solid as they were in game number 1, I think they're at a good shot to take this game number 2.
Yeah, I like this Rubik pick as the last. It's another defensive support, and when you're dealing with the Spectre on your team, you don't really want to be going all-out aggression, as she usually can't keep up in those situations. And, grab point or two or telekinesis, and then go for null field, because right now, pretty much all the damage that paiN have is magical, with the exception of a little bit of Wraith King damage and a little bit of anchor smashing here and there. You can prevent most of their damage with more points in null field, kind of the unsung skill of the hero, but it does certainly add up. Like, you can't really see it add up, but numerically it does do a lot, I assure you of that. But we're in the lanes, and this is going to be second game, guys, between Void Boys and paiN Gaming. We have, on the Void Boy side, Omega Poner going to be playing the support. Skarath Mage going to be currently heading towards top. baiN is going to be on the mid lane Razor. Mercy Please is going to be on the Nature's Prophet. We have Fly on the Rubik, and that leaves Tiburon on the Spectre.
And on the Dire side, we're going to have paiN Gaming on that side of the map with the safe lane support being Baga on the Earthshaker. And we're also going to have
Hold
the
on, can I
Venomancer
recall
play.
you? You're very robotic.
Oh dear. Okay, recall me.
1 second, guys. We will fix this momentarily. And there you go. Let's see if you can do it better this time.
Okay, so hopefully I'm not a robot. And Baga playing on the Earthshaker, Venomans are going to be played by Ned, Radio by QQQ, Necrophilus Mid going to be played by ADR, and Tidehunter played by Sabota. Am I still a robot?
You are. I think it actually got worse. So,
Oh dear.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll just let it play out for a little bit, and we'll see. Maybe we just have to recall yet again, but I don't know. Skype, there's nothing really you could do to work around it.
Yeah, hopefully this will fix itself. Okay, I'm gonna try recalling again. If it doesn't fix itself,
No,
the
it's
next
fine.
couple...
It's fine. Don't touch it.
Oh, we're good.
We're good.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're good. We're good
Okay,
enough.
so. Okay. Good. Haystream picked up by Ned is going to invest the first point into Poison Sting to try to harass up baiN, but he's not trading very well at all. It's still securing Necrophos' first lane of CS if he can hit him, which is nice, I suppose, for ADR, but I'm not sure if this time by the Venomancer is incredibly well spent.
Well, he doesn't really have anything to do elsewhere. I mean, top lane is being completely ignored by Void Boys, and we have some next level, previous level cliff jungling from the Nature's Prophet. He doesn't even want to risk the top lane, and I think this is just because the Void Boys, they really wanted this bottom lane Observer Ward to be placed. Nature's Prophet, first thing, teleported down there and placed that ward. I don't really think this is worth it. I mean, Nature's Prophet could be getting stuff out of lanes. He could be jungling faster with Nature's Call. And what is this Observer Ward doing? Literally nothing for them. So this is going to be a very, very slow start for the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, definitely. It's also going to be conceding free farm to the Wraith King, which isn't the scariest hero to get free farm to, but it's definitely of concern to paiN. He'll be able to keep this lane on lockdown, Baga gets his experience, and Venomancer can do whatever the heck Venomancer wants to do. baiN in mid gets a fairly long duration link off onto ADR, so ADR is not going to be able to get any CS, currently hitting for negative damage, and Razor is going to be having a good time with or without Venomancer intervention, and Veno is going to make his way down towards bottom, securing the 2-minute rune and potentially putting a little bit of pressure onto Spectre. So this laning stage coming out from Void Boys, it's not looking too great for them. None of their heroes are really excelling when it comes to farm, or experience for that matter.
And their secondary pull camp is also blocked. Fly is... Are you really out of range of that? Oh man, that just sucks. Like, that's just so close. Pixel higher and he would have been fine, but there's only going to be one pull camp available to the Void Boys on the bottom lane, and well, the Spectre's going to have a decent time regardless. Tidehunter, with the pressure of the Skarath Mage and the Rubik both, is not going to be able to do too much to the Spectre, but mid lane is doing okay, fairly even. ADR actually holding a slight lead in this lane, and then top lane, well, it's 1v0. So paiN Gaming, they are expected to do pretty well here. I think they should be able to win this lane. We said that paiN had slightly weaker lanes. I think, judging by how this laning phase is shaping, with Void Boys completely abandoning top.
Wait. I think I know what's... Okay, I think it's ping issues.
Really?
It is ping issues. All of their pings are above 200 on the side of Void Boys. They're just not comfortable taking this game, and it looks like it's getting them as baiN... He calls good game well played. That's a fake good game well played, but it still seems to be getting to them. As in mid, TP in for Mercy Please is also going to be punished. A nice Fissure is going to block him down in the Poison Sting. It's not going to be enough to scare this killer. It might be. He's going to be able to bottle up. The bottle charges coming up from baiN are going to be enough to save his buddies. Live, the first blood's going to be drawn as Baga excuse me, is going to fall to the plasma field. On the sidelines, they chase down ADR. They slow down also some of the other supports. ADR is a little bit too fast for them to continue to pursuit. They don't have the mana for a secondary plasma field in order to get this kill, and I don't think they can actually get it. Nature's Prophet gets the Venomancer in the backlines after pursuing him out with a teleport, and it is going to be Scarlet Mage killing off Necrophos. How are they able to accomplish that? Did he just find himself in a really awkward corner?
Yeah, Necrophos went up towards the secret shop and tried to hide, and that just happened. It's gonna be 3 kills for Void Boys. And I think this is exactly going to be the same thing as game number 1. The team that is getting less out of their lanes is getting the kills, and now they're going to try to go for round 2. Fly's going to throw the Venomancer closer to the Razor. Now the Sprout, not exactly helping Fly, but it will secure the kill on Ned. And the Deny, I guess that was all planned. They're going to get the kill on the Venomancer. Now they're looking for ADR. There's plus 126 on paiN. Does he have enough health to dive this tower? He's going to go for it. Might not be the best idea, and he will get punished. Oh my god. So, yeah, that just happened also. This game is going to be affected by ping, as was the last. Game number 1 was played in US East. This is on Brazil, so maybe ping is more of an issue than we thought, and it's certainly leading to some interesting situations.
Okay, so I checked the ping for game number 1 as well, and although paiN were at a disadvantage, it wasn't this bad. Void Boys, their ping is pretty abysmal. It's definitely playable, so don't get me wrong, they're still not out of this game. And it's always an issue when you're looking at these American Dota games, when you have to deal with between North and South American teams, and even just South American teams in general. There's not a good server for anybody to play on, to be honest.
God damn it, Volvo. You're killing esports by having too many servers that are too crappy everywhere. It's really an unfortunate situation, but at least for Void Boys, they don't really pick up any precision heroes. I would say the most precision hero they have is the Skywrath Mage with the Mystic Flare. But if you miss that after a telekinesis setup, then, well, you're probably not going to get the kill anyway. So they have drafted themselves kind of a lag-proof lineup, which I wasn't considering when I was looking at the draft, but I guess maybe I should have.
Yeah, for now, the lanes are still working decently for Void Boys. In mid, we can pretty much call that a wash, as it's 18-2 compared to 21-3. Spectre's getting decent farm at 26-8, although not as nice as the Wraith King's farm. QQQ is in a 1v0 lane, or now the Nature's Prophet shows his face, but for the vast majority of this time, it was a 1v0 lane, and after such an early start, there's not much that the Nature's Prophet can do to pressure him.
Well, QQQ, I don't know. Okay, that happened. I completely missed that over in mid lane. Scythe brought the Razor down a lot quicker than I really thought. How much damage did that actually do? Well, I mean, it doesn't really tell us, but a hell of a lot, let's say. As Razor does take a fall, paiN make the score a little bit more even. Yeah, QQQ, I was going to say, should be going for a Blink Dagger build up against a Spectre. Again, you want to be applying that pressure, and nothing says pressure like a Wraith King with a Blink Dagger, and that'll let paiN start these fights, and, well, they're going to try to go for ADR over and towards mid. Omega Poner is the second victim to decide to push a little bit too aggressively into a Necrophos, and that is not only not going to get them the kill, but it's going to give Necrophos a full health restore.
Yeah, which is wonderful for Necrophos. That Reaper Scythe actually did little to nothing, with the exception of the 1.5 second disable. It did 80 damage onto the Razor, which honestly is 2 right clicks, and that's not very impressive at all. With a level 1 Reaper Scythe, you don't really expect much more, and I think the bigger issue is that he did die to the Reaper Scythe and has that extra 30-second respawn. And now paiN's going to be able to make his way back into the lane, but paiN, after a couple of kills being leaked their way, are going to find themselves at a pretty nice advantage on pretty much every single one of their lanes.
And that's going to be something that Void Boys are going to struggle to deal with. The Razor is probably their best bet, Void Boys, but honestly the Spectre can't do anything at changing the lane equilibrium. Like, haunting to a different lane is not going to be helpful when none of your other heroes can follow up. Going for a kill on Sabota might be a possibility. They don't have a Mystic Flare, but they have a hell of a lot of magic damage. Ravage is available, will not help him if he decided to use it, and Scarlet Mage will take that kill. Getting solo pickoffs like that, or, I mean, team pickoffs like that, are going to be very helpful for Void Boys in order to overcome this laning disadvantage that they have. The problem is they need to do it so much more because the laning disadvantage is so huge.
Yeah, definitely. Tiburon is going to be sitting on a decent sum of gold, currently at 1100. Potentially going for that Radiance Rush. It's going to be fairly slow when he has it, depending on how the next couple minutes of the game go, but I don't think there's really a better option for items on your Spectre. And as long as they're able to get a couple of pickoffs here and there and at least get decent farm on your Spectre, they're going to be completely fine. This Wraith King, despite having pretty much a free lane, hasn't done anything with it. 0-0 and 0 on QQQ. It's kind of to be expected, but it would be nice for Void Boys if they're able to get this Wraith King a little bit more active on the map once they get a Blink Dagger on him. Doesn't look like he's going to be going for a Midas build this game.
Smoke up by Ned and ADR, and they're hunting for blood. Not much damage on this Venomancer, but they might intercept a courier. Poor Pudgeling. He is so screwed. Hit it? Wow. paiN Gaming the Merciful. Look at that.
They decided that the pickoff on the Spectre is more important than this pickoff on the Courier, which might be the case, but I don't think Spectre is going to die here. Let's see how this is going to go down. Gosh, Ravage committed. They do have a Reaper's Scythe, and they're doing a lot more damage to Tiburon than they thought they would. The Reaper's Scythe is going to almost secure the deal. They need one more auto attack, and they'll get it from the Tidehunter. TPs, however, are not going to be canceled as ADR makes it back towards his side of the map. Into the base he goes. It's just going to be a 1-for-0 trade as the Venomancer also survives. Within inches of his life is able to juke towards the right and TP back to base as well. Earthshaker and Tidehunter are slightly being pursued by the Razor, but it's not enough. Still, they could have gone for that Courier. I don't like that they avoided going for that Pudgeling. It was also delivering out a Bracer to the Spectre, which would help out our laning stage by quite a bit. Yeah, it's still a win for paiN. They get out safely, but now their tier 1 tower, excuse me, is going to be pressured in their off lane. QQQ takes the one up top, securing his Blink Dagger farm as well, but there's not much that the Nature's Prophet can do about that. Currently, with no ultimates available for paiN, it looks like they're going to let this T1 fall.
So, I mean, I expected them to go for the Courier, and I thought that they would try to just gank the Spectre. If they didn't, they decided to go for both. They'll hold on to that thought because they're going for, once again, for fly down and bottom. QQ is going to get silenced after blinking in. He will throw the stun onto paiN. Baga moving forward, but he does not have an Echo Slam, so they cannot engage onto this. In the meantime, Necrophos is dying in the mid lane. Nature's Prophet and Spectre, was there even a Haunt used? There wasn't.
No.
They just got a straight kill on the Necrophos. It is a nice pickoff for Void Boys, but on the bottom lane, they dove the tower. And, I mean, if you're trying to be stealthy and everything, it usually doesn't involve diving towers, so paiN Gaming, they end up missing a large opportunity there, yet they still come out ahead, but now dropping the Necrophos over towards mid, kind of making the whole thing a wash, as Void Boys, they are not really losing that much in the towers, and the Wraith King Blink Dagger first is certainly a very nice item to have, but as far as explosive power and explosive jumps in power, a Wraith King with Blink isn't as huge as, say, a Centaur with Blink, or any other hero with, you know, a little bit more damage, so I'm still not convinced that this Wraith King is the right pickup for paiN. He hasn't done enough, or anything at all, actually.
Yep. I think they need to change that, however. If you are going to go for this Blink first on the Wraith King, you need to set things up with the Blink into Wraithfire Blast. If you're going to passively farm the lane like he's been doing up until now, I think QQQ would have been better off going from Midas. There's going to be Haunt onto Savota behind the tier 2 tower in mid, and Spectre's looking for this kill pretty much just with the dispersion, or with the Desolate damage. We'll be able to find it, however, it's now going to give her life, presumably. The Gale is going to connect as well as the Poison Sting damage. Fisher's going to land, but it's going to block off Spectre. She doesn't have a TP out of here, so she's going to slowly but surely die to the Poison Sting damage as well as Hard Supper, and now a Necrophos Reaper's Scythe. Spectre, that was a little bit ballsy for you to go for that, and I think if you're going to go for a dive and look for kills that deep behind enemy lines, you need to have a teleport scroll to get out of there.
Oh, at the very least. Like, she had magic stick charges for maybe a Spectral Dagger escape, but I don't think it was in the cards at a certain point. It's just not possible. Spectre, trading her life for a kill is probably not going to be worth it, especially since she did die to the Necrophos Scythe, so she's going to be out of this game for like 10 years, and that's going to be a lot of time where she's not farming anything. So, you know, though she does get a kill on the Tidehunter, she's like, oh yeah, I have a whole lot of gold. Tidehunter is suddenly back on the field farming, whereas Spectre is down for another 30. Sabota might be jumped though, so maybe not as farming as easily as they really would like. Baga is going to hit with the Mystic Flare, but he will survive for a little bit longer. Ravage is going to be held by the Tidehunter. It looks like they're not going to engage any further, although QQQ wants in. Throwing the Hellfire Blast onto a hasted target, probably not the best idea. And it will be, once again, the Blink Dagger Wraith King doing jack all for paiN Gaming.
Yeah. Both of these teams, they're not really getting very much out of the map. Although paiN Gaming are getting slightly more, the gold as well as experience graphs are marginally in favor of paiN. And in fact, the gold is almost completely zeroed out. Concussive Shot in bottom. They find themselves at Sabota. Inside the Sprout, silenced up, can't get off the Ravage or anything, even if he wanted to, is going to be brought down by the Rubik.
Alright, so nice little pick off there. Without the Ravage to worry about, they could potentially go for a push. And, well, with Mercy Please's item build, they certainly want to be playing this aggressively. Even an Urn being committed by the Nature's Prophet. It's a good item to have on the team, just as a one-of. not oftenly seen on Nature's Prophet, just because he can go for bigger and usually higher impact items, but this is an item build that spells aggression, and let's see if they can actually capitalize on this pickoff at all. They're going to send the creep wave into the tower, but Ned being here with level 3 Plague Wards is going to deny all of that. Void Boys, I mean, they have gone for the Earned Nature's Prophet, not really going to slow them down too much in their other items because paiN has his mech incoming. And then at that point, I think the 4 heroes of Void Boys, and all the heroes minus Spectre, are going to be pretty capable at taking team fights. Like, they're not going to win the team fights handily by any means unless paiN completely botch it, but they do have quite a bit of sustain and quite a bit of power with these heroes.
Yeah, the Spectre still has a long way to go before she completely catches up to the other course, and before she really hits her stride. She's going to throw a dagger into Sabota, and with pickups on this Tidehunter, it could be a lot easier for them. Earn Charge being committed, a Ravage going to land into both of them. Mercy Please trying for the TP out, he's going to cancel it, and then ends up falling. They're going to be able to get this kill on Nature's Prophet before it happens. Scarlet Mage Mystic Flare is almost going completely on Sabota. They do get a Haunt out, and it is going to scout out the heroes, but the Reaper Scythe going to land Tiburon, not doing enough damage to kill him off. The Fisher comes out a little too late. Now they're just going to give the Spectre the rundown. A little bit of healing coming out from the Rubik. It's not going to be able to sustain, especially with the Atos, but he's going to be able to get the Spectral Dagger off and run towards the sidelines and makes his escape with that extra fade movement speed. Fly's not going to be so lucky as he's brought down by Necrophos and his healing pulses. UQQ going to be linked up by paiN, but now paiN going to be Wraithfire blasted up. It's going to be a very long duration link onto the Wraith King as well as the Ectosun committed. They'll get this Razor pick up, and it's going to be a 3-for-1 for VB, and it might not be over yet as QQ. It's going to be daggered up by the Spectre. Can't really go for that one. It's just going to be a casual dagger, and in the end, Void Boys are going to find themselves getting the shorter end of the exchange stick.
You know how I just said how Void Boys should be able to take these team fights decently? I was clearly just kidding about that. I mean, they walked into a Tidehunter, got picked off. The Nature's Prophet got killed solo by the Tidehunter, and then they decided to continuously fight that for whatever reason. I mean, they should be taking these fights a lot better, but when you throw yourselves one by one into a meat grinder like that, definitely not good times. Those types of fights is where Necrophos excels. That's where the Blinking Wraith King really excels as well. And, well, Void Boys kind of put themselves in a corner voluntarily by going into situations like that. That's going to put paiN Gaming into a very comfortable situation. Still, they are going to have to worry about a late game Spectre, but right now, well, it's going to be Mercy Please. I don't think he's going to receive any Mercy. Huge hit from the Enchant Totem. It's actually maxed out by Baga, so he's going to do all the physical damage in the world. I think this is actually a pretty good decision considering how magic damage focused their team is. So it's another pick off for paiN, and they're applying slow and steady pressure. Sabota is going to be jumped. Mystic Flare is once again going to completely whiff, and now Tidehunter might be home free. He's going to join up with ADR, and now the Atos slow. This is going to be a Scythe kill, and there he goes. It's going to be a minute where Scarlet Mage is dead.
At this point in the game, that's pretty huge. And you kind of talked about earlier how Scarlet Mage is the only precision hero on Void Boys. It seems to be hurting them quite a bit. He's playing with about 250 ping, Razor down bottom, slowed down by the Atos, but ADR can't get this kill solo, especially not without a Reaper's Scythe available, and won't continue pursuing it. Still, there's going to be a spell stolen. It is Death Pulse, which is pretty useful for Fly. He does have a decent amount of mana, but it's not going to save you here as he gets bashed down by the anchor of the Tidehunter, and that's a very sad Rubik.
I don't really know what the plan was there. I think they did know that the Tidehunter was there, although it's possible that they just didn't, in which case his play is a little bit more warranted. But in either case, it is going to be a nice set of kills for paiN. Once again, it's going to be Void Boys just bleeding heroes, and it's, I suppose, fine because they have a Spectre who's farming, but she's not even farming well enough. Like, on net worth, you expect your Spectre to be near the top, but she's not actually there at all. It's going to be the Necrophos and Wraith King leading the way, and these are heroes that can do a hell of a lot of damage. Wraith King going for the Maelstrom completed now, and there's travels on the Necrophos. So for paiN, they're going to be applying this very steady stream of pressure, and it's getting kills. They're going to jump forward on the bottom lane, try to go for Tiburon, not going to result into anything, but there's also pressure in the mid lane. Like, Void Boys need like 2 or 3 more heroes to deal with all these paiN heroes.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of glanced onto Earthshaker's build. I do quite like it as well. I think it's a very underrated build on even support Earthshakers because Fisher doesn't scale as far as the block is concerned, and that's usually what it's used for. And, well, jump in from the Wraith King. He's able to get the stun off, has his ultimate. He's going to be forced to blow it here as he's brought down by the Rubik. Spectre is going to haunt in. They do get the Skywrath kill because of this. Enchant Totem stolen by the Rubik isn't going to be very useful. Razor's going to get a link off on QQQ. He's getting pretty good amount of damage, but can't utilize this as he's slowed down by the Atos. Now they get the lift off on QQQ, and that damage is going to be huge. Razor getting the last hit, now chasing down onto poor Baga. He's going to be Spectral Daggered up, now just giving the run down. He runs back in for an Echo Slam onto 2 with the Ravage. This might be enough to get paiN. He's looking for one auto attack. He's able to get it off, and that's going to be a killing spree for Baga. He's fighting on the backline. His ADR is cleaning house with the ultimate going onto Tiburon. Tiburon going towards the north. He's going to fall as well. It's a triple kill and a team wipe for paiN Gaming. That Ravage and the Necrophos just doing so much work for them. I thought paiN Gaming would lose a lot more than just the Wraith King, but it's a 1-for-5 trade.
Oh man, what a team fight for paiN Gaming to take. The Ravage was beautiful. The hit onto everyone. We're gonna pretend to ignore the Venomancer dying over towards mid while we look at the nice team fight that they just took. It's a Venomancer taking the tower in exchange, and they're going to go for Mega Poner, so maybe we won't ignore it. He's going to be slammed up by the Earthshaker. That's going to be Baga taking a dominating streak, and Necrophos took a triple after that top lane team fight. Void Boys, they kind of just got baited. ADR was waiting around the tree line, and while the Earthshaker was running away, the fact that he has maxed out Aftershock plus the level 2 Echo Slam and the Ravage, it's just so much magic damage. Like, I don't care who you are, I don't care how many points in null field you have, and in this case it's just 1, it's not going to be enough. As paiN, they take a monstrous team fight, and they are going to look to capitalize a little bit further onto paiN as Baga is setting up. He has level 4 Aftershock, as previously said, and paiN, he has a mech, but if he gets chain stun perfectly, mech might not be an issue here. He will get it off, no scythe actually, so that would have let them get the kill, but mercy please, don't go there. Sabota's actually trapped in the trees. Someone get this Tidehunter out. Do they know he's there? They don't. The courier is going to spot him, so they might just turn around. Yes, Omega opponent sees him, but he's going to blink forward. Now going to go on to Mercy Please with 40R. Going to unleash the Rod of Atos. Has a scythe as well. Waiting for it to be used on Tiburon. It's going to be Tidehunter dying before any of that could happen. Baga going to try to jump forward for another stun. Will not land onto anyone. ADR still chasing and poking and prodding. But it looks like Void Boys are going to get away with no deaths on their side. Just getting the Tidehunter kill. The difference between a fight with the Ravage and the Echo Slam and without it is huge.
Yeah, definitely. They thought they got the jump onto the Razor, but he's able to get the mechanism off. It's unfortunate that they went for that, but they don't lose too much. It's only the Tidehunter, and honestly, he hasn't had a very good game. He was laned as an offlaner, and now the Earthshaker's overtaking him in farm, which I think is acceptable for paiN, but it's still nice for Void Boys. Not to say it's not a one fight for them, but it's not the end of the world for paiN either. Baga is still looking potentially for a little bit of blood, does have the Echo Slam available in a couple of seconds. If he finds the Spectre and has some backup, maybe he can go for this, but Baga, let's see. How baller are you? And he's going to be so baller, going to blow up the Spectre, goes for the full creep wave as well as the Echo Slam. Fissure stolen by the Rubik, not going to return it onto the Earthshaker, and Baga finds himself a mega kill streak. It's Nature's Prophet getting focused down up top with the Wraithfire Blast as well as the Gush and Anchor Smash. It's plenty of damage. Baga on his Earthshaker has been playing very well. 5-1-3 on that hero.
Oh man, he's just crushing everybody, and the Rubik stealing the Fissure, ordinarily a pretty good skill to steal. Not as much so when it's only a level 1 skill, so his ultimate just turned into a Fissure, and that's probably not worth it. That's going to be 2 very important heroes down as far as heroes that paiN want to bring down. Spectre is nowhere close to anything. I don't think she's gotten any farm or any item since last I've checked. 4 deaths will do that to you, and paiN, they're just getting more and more gold on all of their heroes. The Razor is on top of the net worth chart for Void Boys, but everyone else is lagging behind the supports and offlaners, and well, Ned is not keeping up with the rest of his team, but he's a Venomancer who has a medallion. No matter what, he's going to be able to contribute. And paiN, the only real problem for them, you said in the draft, is how do they breach high ground? I think at a certain point, if they're this far ahead, high ground is not going to be that much of a problem.
No, definitely not. When you're this far ahead, that analysis completely goes out the window. It's currently almost a 10,000 advantage in the gold, and more than a 12,000, nearing 14,000 advantage in the experience. And it's a Mask of Madness for a Wraith King. I'm not sure exactly what has prompted QQQ to go for this item, but it's going to give him a lot of lifesteal. Currently, with his aura almost 50%. He doesn't have the aura maxed out. It's currently only 40, as well as a lot more damage coming out from those crits. I think it's okay. And he'll also be able to pop the ultimate a little bit faster, which may or may not be relevant in the team fights. More importantly, Necrophos now has the pipe, and this is an item that's very important for them to breach that high ground. Aegis is being sat on by Sabota just casually inside the Roshan pit. Saving it for the Necrophos, it's a decent idea, and nobody is there to capitalize it on Void Boys. But, I don't know, if I was... Yeah. It's gonna be all good. ADR gets it.
No scouting ultimate from Tiburon. He wants to save it to try to get a little bit more farm before the inevitable push comes in from paiN, and that is coming pretty hard and fast over towards the bottom lane. Here comes the very quick QQQ. He's going to lose vision onto Megaponer, but with the Gush, I think they're going to catch up for the Wraithfire Blast anyway. It looks like they're going to decide not to dive the tower instead, or just settle for killing the tower directly. Scarith Mage is going to be thanking his lucky stars that he gets away from that, but Baga, once again, Echo Slam onto Tiburon, this time just short of killing him. I guess fewer creeps, and now the Haunt, Baga still taking a lot of damage. He's going to get jumped from the back end by paiN. That's going to be Baga, probably biting off a little bit more than he could chew, and it's going to be him going down, but it is buying space for the rest of his team to take down this tier 2 tower. Definitely not worth it, but, I guess they're still far ahead. They could afford to make these kind of plays. If they pay off, that's great. If not a big deal. And ADR, he's gonna look to make one of those plays of his own, respecting the potential for Mystic Flare. Now gets walled off by the Rubik, not completely. He will find his way through. He needs another Death Pulse and a Scythe to kill off this Skywrath. There's the Scythe, there's the Pulse, perfectly done. That's 10 status charges. Sabota does reap a little bit of that experience as well, but another 70 seconds where Scarith Mage is off the table, and the rest of paiN, they're going for more towers. QQQ is going to blink forward. He will not be able to land the Hellfire Blast onto Fly, but still the Plague Wards are being set up, and this tower is in quite a lot of trouble.
Yeah, definitely. They're consistently finding these pickoffs, despite Baga losing his streak to the Razor. Still, paiN are finding everything that they could want to. They're going for the greedier push and pushing for both towers at the same time, but right now Void Boys aren't in position to defend. Razor is going to be forced to pop out his mechanism, and although the creeps are lagging behind, Wraith King's taking a tier 2 tower in mid at the same time, so split push is working out for paiN, and they might be able to get both of these towers almost simultaneously. Earthshaker down in bottom is again stalking the Spectre. He's gonna go for it. He drops the Fissure. Enchant Totem number 1. No, he doesn't get the auto attack off first, but with the TP in from ADR, it's going to be enough damage either way, or will it? Yeah, it will. Okay, so Baga there, he could have gotten that kill solo if he went for the Enchant Totem hit before dropping the secondary Enchant Totem, but with the global support coming out from the Boots of Travel and the Necrophos, it's not going to matter either way. They get both of the tier 2 towers and finally the pickup on the Spectre, and they're also going to have Ravage and Echo Slam available for the next fight. They get a Sprout onto ADR and a little bit of a link off, but they need to be so careful right now. He's running at them with a vengeance, and paiN, he is going to be sent up by the Atos, or slowed out by the Atos. He does have a TP scroll, but can't really use it. Baga misses the Enchant Totem, looking for the Gush. It's going to be fogged out by paiN, looking for the Fissure. It's going to be pretty nice. Doesn't block him on the right side of the Fissure, so the Necrophos is going to have to wait for that, and there's no Blink Dagger on the Tidehunter, so maybe that's going to save the Razor's life as he makes it into the Roshan pit and TP's home to safety.
Well, Razor TPing out is probably the least of Void Boy's troubles, as they have to still fight up against an Aegis that is on the Necrophos. Now a gem is being picked up on the Venomancer. There's not that much vision that the Void Boys have, but what they do have is very quickly going to be lost to this Veno. This is going to be paiN looking to the high ground. I mean, they got so many pickoffs, and they get towers at the same exact time. Not even like after the picks they get towers, it's at the same exact time they get the towers. They have complete and utter map control. They have so much more killing potential. And the Spectre, she has not gotten a single item. She is 1,500 closer to her Radiance, or to her Relic, than I previously looked. But it's going to be her getting jumped one more time. She will get bailed off. That Ravage is going to be used, committed just onto paiN. Scythe is going to do no damage, and it's going to slow down Razor. But with the BKB, he will walk his way out of here. Tidehunter waddling through a Mystic Flare is not really going to be the best idea. Now the turnaround from Tiburon wants in, but it's a Tidehunter we're talking about. Earthshaker's going to get a kill on the Nature's Prophet in the back end, as still ADR and Sabota are going to go for the Scarith Mage. That's going to be one down. Now Fly going to kill off the Tidehunter. ADR still standing strong, though, with the status charges juicing him up. He will not be going down, but he won't get any kills either. It's a 2-for-1 across the map, and paiN, they're not fighting as a full 5-man team. This could be so much more dangerous if they were. But really, they could get away with doing this because, again, they are so very far ahead. They could do pretty much whatever they want, and what they want includes solo pushing against 2 heroes. ADR is still holding that Aegis. He's going to, once again, miss his Atos. I think, was ADR in the Jakiro last game?
I think so. Okay, so my guess...
Creeps.
Yeah, okay, so my guess is that ADR is playing with Quick Cast, and maybe bought a new mouse and is just, I don't know, not used to it. I don't know. ADR is generally a very good micro player. I haven't seen these types of mistakes for quite some time. Fly going jumped up by the Wraith King. BKB's going to stop the entirety of that Mystic Flare. He's getting linked up, so he can't go for any more. 84 damage being stolen from him. Now ADR is going to be focused down by the Scarth Mage, getting the Arcane Bolted. It's going to get the Aegis off him, but now Tiburon's being focused down with no extra health items. He needs to be very careful, as if they decide to pursue, he might just fall. But for now, paiN are going to fall back. They don't have their Earthshaker or their Tidehunter. They're currently making their way into this fight. Once they have them, they might just go up straight high ground. QQQ is going to lose his Aegis. He is going to die to the tower hit. It's on cooldown for 60 seconds, but I don't think paiN really have to wait for this, since they probably want to wait for it. They have 40 seconds till a Ravage and 30 seconds before an Earthshaker Echo Slam. I think it's worth waiting for all three of those ultimates.
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, it's not like Void Boys are going to break out anything huge. It's not like Spectre is farming for a huge item like a Rapier or something. A Radiance, as nice as it is, it's still like a 20-minute or 28-minute relic with probably like a 31-minute Radiance. Like, this item is not really going to be doing anything, since even when it does come up, you have a pipe already. So what do you have to worry about? paiN Gaming can take this as slow and steady as they could possibly want. They'll have the Ravage up in 5, and the Reincarnation is going to be up in 15. Why not push all the lanes? Because they can. I mean, Wraith King can clear waves like nobody's business because he has that Lightning Hammer. And now they're going to look for the bottom lane. Looks like they don't want the Reincarnation. Hell, they don't even want the Earthshaker in this fight. 3v5 is perfectly fine for paiN.
And right now, 3v5, it's going to be... No fight's actually breaking out yet. Both teams just clearing up the creep wave and then rinse and repeating. Wraith King pushing out top, Earthshaker's kind of chilling in mid. paiN, they're putting pressure pretty much everywhere. Nature's Prophet summons some Treants to get some counter push off, but whenever they rotate heroes off of the lanes, they're taking some pressure on these tier 3 towers. They're falling slowly, but then again, they're falling. We have an Atos being dropped out onto the Razor by the by the Necrophos, excuse me, but doesn't really do that much. Yeah, I have no idea where this fight's actually going to break out, if it's going to at all. They're just slow sieging with these Plague Wards.
I'm just going to guess Baga's going to find someone who's pushing mid lane or something, and he's going to jump in and mess it up, although he's going to go for Tiburon instead. Already the Wraith King is there. Now the Echo's being committed. I'm completely wrong in my prediction. It's 2 kills for free for paiN. And, well, QQQ is going to be running around looking for one more target, but just like that, paiN Gaming have rotated all 5 of their heroes up to the top lane, catching Void Boys completely by surprise. Honestly, I wouldn't expect this either. QQ is going to jump in, try to go for paiN, but it's really hard. The Scythe is going to be enough to kill him. That's lethal. Now Fly, smashed down by the Shaker. Mercy Please is going to receive none. That's going to be 5 for 0 as paiN Gaming break the base of Void Boys completely open. And this is going to be Rax's, or 2 sets of Rax's, I would say, at the very least.
Yeah, they focus the melee up and top, and then ADR is going to rotate towards mid, start focusing down the tower, and yeah, I think that's going to be 2 full lanes. The creeps are working on the ranged barracks, as the Tidehunter Earthshaker with the Mask of Madness, and just the right clicks of all of their heroes. They should be able to take this. They're not going to have their ultimates available once the heroes of Void Boys come up, so I think they're going to back off after these 2 lanes and just play it safe. But honestly, don't really have to. Scarth Mage, Mystic Flare are going to be split between 4 heroes in a pipe for good measure, doing probably 30 damage between them, if you're being generous. Melee Barracks in mid is going to fall. Ranged Barracks soon after. And paiN, they might not even leave this base.
Why not? I mean, they have so much fighting potential just with the Necrophos heals. They're going to jump forward with QQQ. Has the BKB Basher now on him. He's going to go for Mercy Please. Gushed up, and he's not going to stand for much longer. Nature's Prophet down. They have 20 seconds still before the Razor comes back up. I think he got hit with a Scythe, and they know that it's all over. 2 Raxes down, and it would probably be over. paiN Gaming are not going to have the luxury of being able to destroy all of Void Boy's base, but they do, in fact, tie up the series. Yet another 1-1 tie in the jDL4.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think the real winners here are the servers. Both teams, when they have the server advantage, end up winning. And when you have teams that are fairly close in level of play, that's kind of how it works. More than most people would care to admit. Both times I think Void Boys' draft was a little bit better, but they just couldn't get anything out of the map. paiN Gaming, they start out strong and they finish strong. Baga, I think, for me, is the MVP. They're finding a lot of solo kills on the Earthshaker and just overall having a really huge impact. With his Fissures, Echo Slams, and that maxed out Enchant Totem, I think it was a good choice this game. It ends up paying off. Either way, I think that's all for us here on HeflaTV, at least for the night and for the American boys. So I'll let you close out the stream.
Alright guys, as Grandis said, that is going to be it for us. If you enjoyed this cast, please be sure to hit that follow button down below. Also, head on over to Facebook and Twitter.com/HeflaTV to find all of our updates. And the VODs will be up on YouTube.com/HeflaMoke soon enough. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Grandis, and it has been a pleasure bringing you these games, guys. We hope you enjoyed. We're just going to close it out now and bid you a good night.